Are you ready to get personal on your YouTube channel? Ooh, for some of you, this may be a very uncomfortable thought. I've talked a lot on this channel about how I personally view the power of authenticity and vulnerability, so you can see that in a lot of these videos. But I thought it would be really valuable in today's episode to invite another creator to share their thoughts about all of this. Especially valuable because they've had their own struggle with putting their story out there. That's very heavy, very personal, very close to them. So, over to Chris.
Hi Katie, so thank you for inviting me onto your YouTubing with Katie channel. It takes a little while to figure out who you are and the stories you want to tell, and also how you want to edit it as well, and the imagery and the B-roll you want to put on top. So that takes time, but like anything, this is all a skill in order to learn. I've got a lot of stories that I could tell, and it's figuring out how to tell them, when to tell them, and also, do you want to tell them? That's the thing, isn't it? Is this a story that you want to tell, and what are your reasons and intentions behind that? Because our ego can get in there where we're sharing our story for the likes, for the views, for the subscribers. And really it is about building connection, it is about building community. I think it's working out the stories you want to tell, whether it will help people or whether it will help yourself in telling it, and that you're doing it for the right reasons and the right intentions. I could quite easily delve into some really heavy stories. The recovery story I did, I'd already gone through that story. I'd already told my story many times in the 12-step program amongst people. And so by the time I came to film it, many years later, I kind of knew the bits I wanted to include and the bits I wanted to keep out. It's trusting your discernment and trusting your instincts around that, trusting your intuition, but also talking to other content creators, other people, to get feedback, but not overthinking it to the point where you're always asking for permission to post something. It was to carry the message, it was to share that people weren't alone, but I could have easily have overshared with that. And that's where it gets difficult. Sort of, you want to share what you're about. Before you're known, no one's going to really care about whether you're going to a supermarket or your favourite movie or anything like that. So that takes a little bit of time to build that relationship and to have people care about your life and who you are and what you have to offer the world. So as an artist, I do share my art, but because art and life go hand in hand, that is something that I think is very important to share bits of yourself as well as your main thing your channel is focusing on. So yeah, it can be a struggle to share who you are. And I'll end on this point. It can take a little while to get used to the camera, to think of it as sharing with someone and finding the right volume to speak at. So those saying be yourself on camera, it's not as easy as that, because you have to find out who are you when you're facing a bit of plastic with a screen. And once you start connecting with your audience for it and starting to talk more like it's an actual person, that's when things get a bit easier. But of course you can revert back into being fearful of the camera and having to practice again. You've got to relearn who you are when a camera's pointing at you, and the only way to get good at being on camera is to keep talking to the camera, and it doesn't have to be public. I think I did like over 80 little 1 or 2 minute talking to camera like this before I felt comfortable to post my first video. So it's definitely a muscle, and the more we do, the easier it becomes. It's back to you, Katie.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing that. It is a lot to think about there. Some things that I'd like to add to this conversation, and I would really love to hear you, fellow creator watching this, or a person who's just curious about the process watching this, to add your thoughts as well. But are you familiar with the words trauma dumping? That is something that is very easy to do when you've gone through a lot of trauma, to just lay all the grisly details out there. And the effect that it can have on people afterwards is just to feel completely trampled and overwhelmed and just done. Especially if they have no clue. If their life has not been as difficult as that. So when you're looking back over your footage, to pay attention to if this is something that you're doing, is what is the mood? What is it at the end? What does it leave the audience with? Does it feel hopeful or hopeless? Does it carry an encouragement and carry a message of either I've overcome this challenge or I am in the process of overcoming it, and this is how, and here's some resources for you if you're in a similar situation? These are really, really helpful things to consider. Some other things to consider are, could you get in trouble for sharing this? Are there other people involved who could take legal action against you? Or could your place of employment, if they found out about your situation, could they have something against you? Would your job be at stake? Like, really counting the cost to look at any ramifications that could come of people watching this video. I want to encourage you to be vague enough in your details that it's not traumatizing to other people, and also that it's not going to very quickly lead to the identification of someone else. The last thing I want to say about this is, you genuinely put your heart and hard things out there through the lens of encouragement and just wanting the people on the other side of that screen to reach new growth or new understanding about themselves or community and not feeling alone about their struggle. You put that out there and you will see some amazing results. Like, I have gotten some beautiful comments on my main channel just right before I recorded this. One of the comments just made me almost want to cry and just hug that subscriber through the screen. You show your heart and people will show you theirs. And it's an amazing feeling. There's nothing like it. So, I hope this video has been encouraging to you in sharing your story and getting some perspective. Thanks again to Chris from Extempore Art. Be sure and check out his channel if you haven't already. He's an artist and a vlogger, and he puts amazing color and life out into the world. So, okay, cat, no. Do not chew on my phone necklace. But wait! This channel is all about getting to the heart of creating, and I want to see if there's any way that I can support you. And if I don't have the answer, I'd love to connect you with someone smarter than me who could help you. So let's connect. You can find my contact information in the description. And one more thing. If you are a creator and you would like to share something that you struggle with in your creative process and share what has worked for you and what you have learned, similar to what Chris has done here today, let's talk about that. I'd love to collab with you. It's a great way to build community and to learn from one another. So let me know. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.